Hello all of you, I'm Reena Mahajan. Welcome again to English Oasis. Let's learn figures of speech or poetic devices with the help of a poem. I have chosen this poem, A Thing of Beauty, because this 24-line poem has 28 poetic devices. एक छोटी सी पोएम सिर्फ 24 लाइन्स की और उसके अंदर 28 poetic devices हैं. Come on, let's learn. Poem goes this way: a thing of beauty is a joy forever. The first figure of speech is allegory, that is poem with a symbolic meaning. That is a poem with a symbolic meaning. It has some hidden meanings in it. It has too much of imagery, symbolism in it. So that sort of poetry is called allegory, right? The second figure of speech is boer quiet. Boer quiet is a metaphor. This is because the poet compares a boer quiet, that is a calm, composed place surrounded with so many of trees, with a thing of beauty. And that is why it is a metaphor. Two things which are compared without like and as is called a metaphor, right? The third figure of speech is morrow. Morrow is a word which is not used in the modern English nowadays. So, morrow is archaism. Archaism वो words हैं जो आज की modern English में use नहीं होते, and that is why they are called archaic words, right? So, every morning means morrow, and it is an archaic word. So, the figure of speech is archaism. Flowery band. Flowery band is metaphor. Why? Because the poet has compared a garland to all the beautiful things in nature, all our beautiful memories that have been compared to a garland or a flowery band. So it is a metaphor here. Band to bind. Band to bind is alliteration. Why? Because this BB has been repeated twice. Band to bind is alliteration, right? Next is noble natures. Noble natures is alliteration. And noble natures has one more figure of speech, and that is synecdoche. SYNECDOCHE. Synecdoche is a figure of speech in which we talk about a part of something, but we mean the whole of the thing. Sometimes it is used as the teacher counted heads and marked attendance. The captain shouted all hands on the deck. So, hands or any part of body or a part of something which denotes the whole of that is synecdoche. Here it is noble natures. So basically he wants to say the whole humanity but talks about only the noble people, right? Gloomy days. Gloomy days is transferred epithet. Gloomy days is transferred epithet. Transferred epithet means whenever the epithet or the adjective, epithet means adjective, transfers to some other subject. So it is called transferred epithet. For example, he passed many sleepless nights. For example, he passed many sleepless nights. So, sleepless nights, the nights were not sleepless, right? The adjective or the epithet here is sleepless, but the nights were not sleepless. Who was sleepless? He was sleepless. वो सो नहीं पाया पूरी रात. तो this adjective has transferred to this subject, so it is transferred epithet. Right? Unhealthy and over darkened ways. This is a metaphor. Why? Because the overdarkened, the dark ways have been compared to human beings and their ways of dealing things, right? So it is a metaphor. रास्ता, he says रास्ता, जो गलत रास्ते, जो अनहेल्दी और ओवर डार्कन्ड रास्ते हमने चूज किए अपनी लाइफ को स्पेंड करने के लिए ह्यूमन बींग्स ने, वेज हैव बीन कंपेयर्ड टू द वे वी हैंडल थिंग्स, राइट? Unhealthy and over darkened ways has one more figure of speech, and that is again transferred epithet. Why? Because the ways are not unhealthy. रास्ते unhealthy नहीं होते और ओवर डार्कन्ड नहीं होते, गलत रास्ते नहीं होते. इनफैक्ट हमारे काम करने के तरीके गलत होते हैं, राइट? सो द वेज आर नॉट ओवर डार्कन्ड. इनफैक्ट पीपल आर ओवर डार्कन्ड. द वे ऑफ डीलिंग थिंग्स इज ओवर डार्कन्ड. सो इट इज अ ट्रांसफर्ड एपिथेट, राइट? नेक्स्ट इज some shape of beauty removes away the pall. This is personification here. What is personification? Basically, personification is when we give living verbs to a non-living thing, right? Doing words which are usually given to living things. हम living things को जो verbs देते हैं उनको हम non-living things को assign कर दें. For example, my pen danced on paper. My pen danced on paper. Now the pen danced. Who can dance? A human being, a living thing can dance. So here the pen is dancing, right? So it is transferred epithet. Similarly here, some shape of beauty moves away the pall. Pall is the dark cloud of sadness, right? So the poet John Keats here says that some shape of beauty, whatever shape of beauty we see, some beautiful things in nature moves away the dark cloud of sadness from our personality, from ourself. So it is personification because some shape of beauty is non-living and it moves, right? Moves is the verb here given for a thing of beauty. Clear? So it is personification. Next figure of speech is pall. This is a metaphor. What does pall mean? It means a dark cloud of sadness, right? So here it moves away the pall. The darkness is compared to the sadness of our life, right? So it is a metaphor. Next is dark spirits. Dark spirits is again a metaphor. Why? Again, it moves away the pall from our dark spirits. So comparison has been made to spirits and our soul, ourselves. So dark spirits is a metaphor here. Simple sheep. Sheep are usually a symbol of innocence, right? Here, simple sheep, S is being repeated. So it is alliteration. Yes, it is alliteration. So I repeat once again, allegory. This whole poem is an allegory. That is a poem with a symbolic meaning. War quiet, metaphor. Morrow, archaism. Flowery band, metaphor. Band to band, alliteration. Noble natures, alliteration. Noble natures is again synecdoche also. That is talking about some part of body or a part but denoting the whole of it, right? Gloomy days is transferred epithet. Unhealthy and over darkened ways is metaphor. Unhealthy and over darkened ways is again transferred epithet. Pall is metaphor. Some shape of beauty moves away the pall is personification. Pall is metaphor. Dark spirits is metaphor. And simple sheep is alliteration. These are 14. Now come to the next 14 figures of speech in this poem. Before that, please subscribe to the channel. आप subscribe तो कभी करते ही नहीं हैं. And share this video with all of your friends and whosoever is in 12th class, because this poem is also a part of the 12th class syllabus of CBSE. Back please. The 15th figure of speech here in A Thing of Beauty is visual imagery. The visual imagery is a figure of speech in which the poet tries to create a visual in front of us, right? And we imagine something. Here it is trees old and young sprouting a shady boon, right? And the daffodils, the flowers, which are very beautiful. So he tries to create that image. Clear rills, the fresh water streams, again creates an image in front of us. There's one more example of this is musk rose blooms. One more example is musk rose blooms, right? Next, 16th is trees young and old sprouting a shady boon. It's again personification. So I told you what is personification. Personification is whenever we give a verb that is usually given to living things and now we are giving it to a non-living thing. हम एक verb जो यूजुअली किसको देते हैं लिविंग थिंग्स को, लेकिन यहाँ हम किसको दे रहे हैं ट्रीज को. ट्रीज यंग एंड ओल्ड स्प्राउटिंग अ शेडी बून, राइट. स्प्राउटिंग अ शेडी बून इज ऑल्सो alliteration. So this comes like 29 figures of speech here. 17th is green world. Green world is metonymy. Now, what is metonymy? Metonymy is a figure of speech in which we symbolize anything with some other words. For example, here the green world symbolizes what? The forest. If I say the chilling weather, winters. If I say the hot season, it's summers, right? So, metonymy is a figure of speech which symbolizes something else. 18th is such are daffodils with the green world they live in. Personification here, as I have already told you, personification क्या होता है? Personification is living verb किसी non-living thing को देना. यहाँ पे daffodils are the flowers which have been given the verb live in, right? So who can live? Only a living thing. But here the daffodils are living, so it is personification. Cooling covert, again it is very easy. Alliteration. What is alliteration? The first word, the first letter is the same. Cooling covert. Now one thing more about alliteration is that even if the words sound the same, it is alliteration, right? Hot season is again metonymy. I told you what metonymy is. Whenever we symbolize something, so the hot season symbolizes what? Summers. Such too is the grandeur of dooms. This is paradox. Now what is a paradox? Paradox is two contrasting ideas, two contrasting things mentioned side by side. Here, till here the poet was talking about all the lively things, all the living things which are very, very beautiful. Now he says grandeur of the dooms. Even the dooms or the graveyards are very beautiful, right? The graveyards where our patriots are buried, our saints are buried, some holy men are buried, some good people, noble people in the world are buried. They too are very beautiful. So now he talks about death and beauty. So it is a paradox here, right? Mighty dead, those who have attained something mighty in their life, but now they are dead. Clear? So this is an oxymoron. This is an oxymoron. What is an oxymoron? Two opposites written side by side is an oxymoron. Two opposite words written side by side is oxymoron, mighty and dead. Mighty means very powerful. Dead are the people who cannot even move or do anything. So they have been called mighty, so it is an oxymoron. Clear? Immortal drink. Immortal drink is metaphor. Immortal drink is metaphor. Why is it a metaphor? Metaphor means comparing two things which have a little bit of similarity but without like and as. Clear? So what is a metaphor? When we compare two things which have a little similarity but we do not use like and as. Here, immortal drink. Immortal drink matlab amrit. that means nectar or elixir. And this has been compared to a thing of beauty. Next, sleep full of sweet dreams. S has been repeated. So it is alliteration. Next, of the inhuman dearth of noble natures and of all the unhealthy ways. The figure of speech is anaphora, A-N-A-P-H-O-R-A. Anaphora is a figure of speech where we use the same beginning word for two consecutive lines. Here it is, of the human dearth, of all the unhealthy ways. Clear? हमने same words को beginning of the line उसमें use किया consecutive lines में, and that is why it is anaphora, right? Of the inhuman dearth of noble natures, of the unhealthy ways, right? So it is anaphora. Next, 26th is, before that, please, I should remind you again, subscribe to the channel and like the video if you have liked it. Share it with all your friends and mention something in the comment section so that I'm motivated to make such videos, right? Number 26 is, are we reading a flowery band? The figure of speech is inversion. Inversion is a figure of speech in which we do not write straightforward the words. In fact, we scramble them. For example, it should have been, we are reading a flowery band, right? हम एक फूलों की माला बना रहे हैं, but the poet says, are we reading? So he has inverted the words, he has changed the words, and that is why it is inversion, right? Old and young. Old and young is antithesis. Why? Because two different ideas he is giving. Old and young, because two different ideas are written side by side, it is antithesis. Next and the last is tactile imagery. Tactile imagery, I told you, visual imagery is when a poet tries to create a scene in front of us, a visual in front of us, and we see that, imagine that happening in front of us. जब भी एक poet हमारे सामने एक पूरा scene create करने की कोशिश करता है through the words and we imagine that, तब क्या होता है? Visual imagery. लेकिन tactile imagery क्या होती है? Sense of touch create करना, right? Here, tactile imagery in the words, God pours unto us. A thing of beauty is a nectar, a heavenly drink that the God is pouring upon us. तो God pour कर रहे हैं हमारे ऊपर, इसका मतलब tactile imagery, touch is related. Again, sense of touch is used in moves away the pall. A thing of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits, right? Now, best of luck for your exams. Please subscribe to the channel. It is very important for me. Like the video if you have liked it and share it with all your friends. Bye.